What's up, guys? Today on All Sports Central, we'll be going over a college football game preview over the 2019 Cure Bowl between Liberty and Georgia Southern, and this should be a pretty good matchup between both of these teams, pretty evenly matched, and I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be on Saturday, December 21st, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's going to be in Orlando. The spread currently says Georgia Southern by 5, and the FBI is also saying Georgia Southern 60%. Vegas is saying Georgia Southern 38-31. So pretty much all three of these sources are saying more or less of the same thing, and that's kind of expected. Obviously, both of these teams are evenly matched, but Georgia Southern has a bit of an advantage. Their offense has just been better all season long, and Liberty's had a more of a bumpy November for that matter as well, so you got to watch out for that. But your stat comparison for this one, Liberty gets 33.7 points per game. That is an average, 29 points allowed per game. They've got 290 pass yards, 152 rush yards, and yards allowed per game, 229 passing, 192 rushing. The record is 7-5. For Georgia Southern, they've gotten 29 points per game. They've allowed 28 per game. And then pass yard wise, they've only got 72. That's an average of their games this entire season. And looking at that, if you've got a 72-yard average, that means some games that they've played this entire season had to have been below 72. And I haven't really looked into depth on which games those would be, but man, that is insane. I mean, 72 pass yards per game, most teams could get easily over 200. And so 72, that's a pretty low number. As far as rush yards go, they've got 260 per game, and obviously they rely on the rushing game big time for them to have 260 rush yards. So that's something that Liberty's going to need to be concerned about. As far as yards allowed, they've allowed 240 pass yards per game and 136 rushing. Georgia Southern's record is 7-5 here as well. And looking at your previous 5 games for both these teams, Liberty beat New Mexico State in rivalry week 49-28. They lost to Virginia 55-27, lost to BYU 31-24. Beat UMass 63-21 as expected. I mean, you have to beat UMass. They're like the worst FBS team. Then they lost to Rutgers 44-34. So they've had a really bumpy last part of their season. Lost 3 of their last 5. That is concerning. For Georgia Southern, they beat Georgia State 38-10. Lost to Arkansas State 33-38. Beat Louisiana Monroe 51-29. Lost to Troy 28-49. Then they had a big win against Appalachian State 24-21. So with that being said, kind of looking at this, Georgia Southern obviously has more momentum right now. They have lost 2 of their last 5. However, I mean, they do have a really good win there against Appalachian State. Probably the best team in the Sun Belt Conference, or actually, they're easily the best team in the Sun Belt Conference. And they also had a couple of good wins there against Georgia State and Louisiana Monroe. For Liberty, though, you got a blowout loss against Virginia and a pretty bad loss against Rutgers as well. So with that being said, Liberty's going to need to really show up in this one. Here's a few key points in this one. Liberty has lost 3 of their last 5. Georgia Southern has lost 2 of their last 4. And obviously both teams have bumpy Novembers. Georgia Southern is a major rushing team, so if Georgia Southern can keep on running and keep on making it successful, they should win this one pretty easily. How would both teams win? Once again, I just said, Georgia Southern has to make sure the rush game is on point. Liberty's going to have to stop the rush, they're going to have to be like big time on the rushing defense if they're going to win this game. Because, I mean, if Georgia Southern basically relies on it, if you can stop the rushing game, I mean, that'd be huge for this team because obviously their quarterback is not very good. With all that being said, here's what I expect in this one. I think it's going to be a more high-scoring game. Obviously, both of these teams have put up pretty big numbers as far as points per game. And so I think 21-10 is going to be your halftime score. Georgia Southern leads. And then your final score, 38-24. Georgia Southern wins it by 2 touchdowns. And obviously, I mean, it could be closer. It could be more separated. But I think Georgia Southern in the end gets the win. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this game in the comments below. Do you think Liberty can pull out a win? Obviously, I mean, it's definitely possible with both of these teams being pretty evenly matched. But in the end, once again, I think Georgia Southern wins. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys all for watching once again. Stay tuned for more bowl predictions, and I will see you all later.